Hi, horse friends. UC Davis has finally released its audit into the controversial decision to eliminate its Division I's equestrian team, and the findings are shocking. The university says the audit clears its athletic leadership of manipulating financial information. But that same audit found that UC Davis athletics lacked adequate procedures for preparing its NCAA financial reports, failed to properly validate those numbers, and gave an outside consultant financial data that was inappropriate for the decision being made. That consultant's analysis was then used to help justify eliminating a 3-time championship winning equestrian team. UC Davis may say the controversy is resolved, but the audit raises one disturbing question. How can the university claim its decision was sound when the financial process behind it was anything but? In January 2026, UC Davis announced that its women's equestrian team would lose Division I varsity status and become a club sport. At the same time, women's stunt would move from club to varsity status. The decision took effect on July 1st. UC Davis said equestrian was one of its most resource-intensive sports and had limited opportunities for intercollegiate competition. But this was not a failing team. The approximately 35 females had won 3 conference championships during their final season. They went undefeated in conference competition and produced nationally recognized riders. The athletes said they were blindsided. Many had committed to UC Davis believing they would compete on a Division I equestrian team, only to learn in the middle of the season that their program was disappearing. Supporters formed Reinstate UC Davis, collecting approximately 41,000 petition signatures, raised $32,000, and filed a lawsuit against university athletics leaders. They accused UC Davis of inaccurate financial information to portray equestrian as excessively expensive. They questioned the independence of the outside review, raised Title IX concerns, and alleged that the university continued recruiting athletes and seeking donations while considering the program's elimination. UC Davis has denied wrongdoing, and many of those allegations remain unsolved. One of the largest financial disputes involved approximately $690,000 in donated horses, equipment, services, and other in-kind contributions. Under NCAA reporting rules, an in-kind donation can appear as both revenue and expense. If someone donates the use of a horse, the program receives something valuable, so the value is recorded as revenue. Because the program uses that horse, the value can also appear as an expense. The accounting method can make a program appear far more expensive than the amount the university actually spends. UC Davis's NCAA financial report placed annual equestrian expenses at approximately $1.9 million. Its internal budget documents estimated the program's cost at approximately $1.1 million. That is a difference of about $800,000. The university's auditors concluded that UC Davis did not include the approximately $690,000 in donated resources when calculating its internal cost savings. That finding allowed UC Davis to say that its leaders had been cleared of manipulating the internal budget. But that was not the end of the story. The audit found that UC Davis athletics had not maintained sufficiently robust procedures for preparing the financial information it reported to the NCAA. The department did not use the NCAA standard reporting workbook. While using that specific workbook was not required, UC Davis also lacked another formal and adequately documented reporting process. The athletics department did not have proper supporting documentation, formal validation procedures, or independent supervisory review to verify that its NCAA financial information was complete and accurate before submission. Instead, the process relied heavily on institutional knowledge. In plain language, UC Davis Athletics was preparing important NCAA financial reports without the formal checks, documentation, and oversight needed to demonstrate that the numbers were reliable. The audit did not find that UC Davis knowingly submitted false information to the NCAA, but it warned that the lack of documentation and independent validation increased the risk of incomplete or inaccurate reporting. And those inadequately supported NCAA numbers did not remain inside the athletics department. They were given to Collegiate Consulting, the outside firm hired to evaluate the university's financial reasoning. Collegiate Consulting used the NCAA figures when comparing UC Davis Equestrian with other sports and other universities. Its analysis therefore included approximately $690,000 in donated resources that did not represent money directly spent by UC Davis. The university's own auditors concluded that NCAA data was not designed to support campus-specific budget projections. They said the consultant used financial information that was not germane or directly relevant to the strategic budget decision it was evaluating. That is the shocking part. UC Davis says its internal budget did not include the $690,000 in horses and services, but the outside consultant used to support the university's decision relied on them. And those NCAA figures came from a reporting process that lacked adequate documentation, validation, and supervisory review. So the internal budget may not have been intentionally manipulated, but the outside review used to confirm the decision was built partly on numbers that were not appropriate for that purpose. How does that inspire confidence in the financial decision? So one of the parents of the athletes told the Sacramento Bee that the audit appeared to recognize the errors, but reached a conclusion that seemed to have been written by someone else. She described the experience as heartbreaking and said it felt like a betrayal of what she believed UC Davis represented. The university is now ordering athletics to fix its financial procedures. By October 2026, the department must create documented procedures for preparing its NCAA financial reports. It must identify the correct data sources, assign responsibilities, establish supervisory review, and preserve evidence supporting important financial decisions and adjustments. Athletics must also begin formally reconciling the numbers submitted to the NCAA with the university's official financial records. Those reforms are clearly needed, but why are they happening only after the equestrian team has already been eliminated? The audit also uncovered problems involving the Festival of Trees fundraiser held for the equestrian program. The university approved the general fundraiser, but its development and alumni relations office was apparently not told about a silent auction conducted during the event. Because that office did not know about the auction, it could not properly oversee donor communications after UC Davis announced that the varsity team was being eliminated. The audit warned that this failure increased legal and reputational risks, limited the university's ability to ensure donor funds were administered properly, and could damage donor confidence. But once again, the review was incomplete. The auditor said they did not have the resources to fully determine whether all fundraising revenue and expenses were recorded accurately, whether gifts were administered correctly, or whether the activities complied with university credit card policies. Those issues may be examined in a supplemental audit during the 2027 fiscal year. So UC Davis eliminated the team before the entire fundraising investigation was completed, and the remaining investigation may not be finished until long after the program is gone. The audit also confirmed that the university's original public communications contained errors, although said they were corrected quickly. Athletic Director Rocco DeLuca said the audit proved that his department followed established procedures and that the allegations of misconduct were unsubstantiated. He said his family had experienced harassment, threats, intimidation, repeated visits to his home, and attempts to involve his family in the controversy. If those reported actions occurred, they are completely unacceptable. People have every right to challenge UC Davis, request public records, file lawsuits, and demand accountability. They do not have the right to threaten or intimidate someone or target that person's family. But those reported actions do not erase the legitimate problems identified by the audit. The audit did not solve the Title IX allegations. It did not determine whether eliminating Equestrian was the best decision. It did not recommend restoring the team. It did not complete the fundraising investigation. And it did not fully address allegations that UC Davis continued recruiting athletes and seeking donations while considering the team's elimination. Reinstate UC Davis says the fight is not over. The university may feel vindicated because the auditors did not find evidence of intentional manipulation. But the athletes and their supporters see an audit that confirms the financial process was inadequate and the outside consultant used inappropriate data. Both statements can be true. The audit did not prove that university officials deliberately changed the internal budget, but it did prove that UC Davis athletics lacked adequate NCAA financial reporting controls, that its outside consultant relied on the wrong type of financial data, and that the university is now fixing these problems after the team has already been eliminated. The program transitioned to club status on July 1st. A club team cannot automatically replace Division I scholarships, professional coaching, institutional support, recruitment opportunities, or elite competition. The university can improve its financial reporting. It can train its employees and create better procedures for outside consultants. But it cannot give these athletes back the Division I experience they were promised. This was a 3-time championship winning team at one of the most respected agricultural universities in America. It survived an undefeated conference season. It survived intense competition. What it could not survive was a university decision supported by a financial process that the university's own auditors now say needed major improvements. So I want to know what you think. Does this audit truly clear UC Davis, or does it make the decision to eliminate the equestrian team look even more questionable? Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely, you can hear me breathing.